Hey everybody, it's Eric Johnson. I'm in a good mood today. I don't know why. I should be in a bad mood considering the material I'm about to present. Should be in a bad mood. I'm in a pretty good mood. I'm still not sure exactly what I'm doing as far as going out west to the Madison River area this late summer because I'm not quite sure where I'm going. I have a place I suspect, but really what I've said to myself is I need to go out there to the museums and look at the museums. Why do I want to go to the museums? I shouldn't have to look at any place but the poem, right? And maybe the book. The Thrill of the Chase, maybe. I just ordered Too Far to Walk. Can you believe that? I just ordered it after 2 years. August will be my 2-year anniversary of doing this. I just now ordered Too Far to Walk. And I'm looking forward to it. But it goes in complete... It's diametrically opposed to what I'm talking about today, which is that I'm overwhelmed with information. As those who watched the last video know, I went out to Yellowstone. Was it the last video? I think it was. I went out to Yellowstone. First time I'd ever been to Yellowstone. Drawn there by the Forrest Fenn Treasure Hunt. And I went in May, so there it was fairly cool every day. It was pretty cool every day, actually. So, you know, you saw all these smoke, all the ponds were smoking, and the geysers were going, and there was smoke coming out of these different areas. And I'm looking around and going, gee, I wonder where to begin. Where warm water's halt. It's just like the whole place is just full of places where you see warm waters. Presumably halting when they... Hey, buddy! Well, look who made the scene. It's Tober, the Bober. He's my favorite cat except Bill. Tober, the Bober. Tober's here. You gonna come say hello to people? You used to like to do this, and then now he's kind of like, he's like, say hi to the people. You said you're a good boy. You're a good boy. You want to come down here? What are you gonna do? Good boy. All right. So anyway, he's just gonna plop down. Hopefully not headbutt the tripod. All right, where was I? So I found Yellowstone strangely depressing. I mean, a lot of people would have found it really exciting, but I just kept remembering, you know, begin at where warm waters halt. You just find all these places where you see warm water, and you think, well, this is a place where Forrest Fenn grew up next to, and he has to use that expression, begin at where warm waters halt. And he even says one time, well, there's hundreds of places or thousands of places, I forget, of places in the Rocky Mountains where warm waters halt. You know, and I'm thinking, yeah, and Yellowstone's probably got half of them. So I was kind of overstimulated with warm waters, and just generally overstimulated, not overstimulated, just generally overwhelmed with information. Forrest has said before, you only need the poem. Then later on someone said, really, do you really think anyone could find it just with a poem if they didn't know that, that you added it would only be in 4 states and it would only this and that? And he said, no, not really. All those clues helped, or hints, clues, whatever. So the whole thing just already right there you begin to get into this circular thing where things are said, and if you read a lot of them, if you tend to do what I do and you read the blogs and you read the vlogs and you start to go, wow, there's a lot of information. Don't start headbutting the camera, buddy, please. There's just so much information out there beyond the poem and the book, and I sometimes wish I had never looked beyond the poem and the book, because there's so much information out there now that Tober's on the move. What are you thinking, bud? There's so much information out there that we're all taking in it. At least I am. That it's getting me really confused. I need to shut it off. So that's why I bought the second book. I know. Totally contradictory. Doesn't make any sense. I can't help it. This is the way this treasure hunt's affecting me. It's that thought that, God, that book's going to have that. There's something in that second book I'm going to read and go, damn, that blends in. That makes sense compared to everything else I've figured out. And so I'm going to I'm going to figure out where the blaze is. It's one of those things. So anyway, come on, buddy, leave me alone. She's trying to bug me now. That was fast, wasn't it? All right, get out of here. Anyway, today what we're going to do is I'm going to read a series of things I got off the internet about the Forrest Fenn Hunt. Most of it, I think all of it. Yes, it's stories, it's things from mysterious writings, it's questions with Forrest, it's some articles, it's all these things about the word desert. Has to do with the desert. I know some people, I saw an argument, or a debate rather, recently, where people were debating whether they think the... Jesus Christ! Well, okay, that was... hi, everybody. That was really good. Just had the crap knocked out of my tripod. Okay, well, we're making some minor adjustments here to deal with. Yeah, there we go. Everything's fine. What are you thinking? Oh, now you're going to bite my ass? There are some people I absolutely hate it when I do this. Quit talking here, damn cat! Stick to the subject and just leave the cat out of it. Or hate the cat. I'm gonna kill you. Ooh, now I have a claw going in my leg. There, oh, it came back out. Oh, you're just trying to get my attention? Well, you really f***ed this all up, Topper. It's all f***ed up. You really have f***ed it all up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to bleep those words out, aren't I? You guys are just spooky, weird-ass animals, all I can say. Okay, getting back to my meme for the day. The meme is desert. I'm going to read you a bunch of stuff that Forrest Fenn has said or been quoted as having said. I guess that would be all the same thing. About the desert. And then at the end, I'm going to show you an interesting way to view that information after you're done processing it. And it's to me just more of it's just more ammunition for the argument that this thing is so confused. It really is. And I don't mean this as a put down to Mr. Fenn. But I think you're going to agree when I get done with this today, you're going to go, wow, yeah. I mean, that's... And this is for something like desert. I'm sure you could do it with something less obscure, although it's not really obscure. I mean, New Mexico is virtually desert. And then if there are other places that are desert. Anyway, well, let's get on with this, and then you'll see what I'm trying to say. The... I'm not going to worry too much about the dates of these quotes, and you'll see why later. I searched for places where Fenn discussed the desert. And the reason I even got interested at all in the possibility of it being desert is because a friend of mine, a searcher friend named Karen, she had emailed me about Chaco Canyon. And Chaco Canyon's a historic ancient Indian site in New Mexico. It's up in the mountains. It's really super cool. I mean, you have the Pueblo buildings that they left. You have a thing, one of those things where the sun comes through on a certain time of the, like the summer solstice or something, and it lines up with the picture. And you have petroglyphs. It's a super cool place. I mean, it's a place, sorry about the jiggling camera, but you know why it's happening. It's a super cool place just for archaeology, just for Indian artifacts, or maybe not artifacts, but just for going out and looking at ancient Indian place. And so, God, this, you know what, buddy? Oh my God! I mean, you've just about ruined this. I, okay, really? Do you have to? Boy, it's going to be a lot of editing in this damn film. But I hate to keep starting over and over. You guys have no idea how many times I start these things over and delete things. What? Sorry. Okay. The point is, I got interested in the concept of a desert treasure hunt. I have never really considered being out in the desert because this Chaco Canyon place, if you look it up, Chaco, Canyon, is a very cool place, and it looks primarily like high desert. And I remembered that on occasion I would read Fenn talking about the desert, but for some reason, I think it's because he talks about trees and stuff, I've always not thought of the desert as where the chase would be. But on the other hand, I thought, this whole idea I have that you have to be, he had to have picked a special spot when he was a kid living in near Yellowstone every summer, and it was probably some place, maybe he was with his folks or whatever outside, and it has to be an outside spot and all that, and that I thought it would be really weird to have an outside spot be his special place if it was some place he came upon after he moved to New Mexico and was in his 40s or 40 or 42 or whatever. And all of that kind of got blown out the window on a certain percentage. Kind of 50% of my concept about it can't be anywhere but up in Montana, Wyoming. When I saw this Chaco Canyon, it occurred to me, well, Fenn, he's an artifact hunter, and so he sees a place like Chaco Canyon. He goes there. It's kind of a remote road you have to go in on, and he finds the place and falls in love with it. He says, this is my special spot. Maybe he discovers when he's 35. Maybe he, then I realized how much he really has been around the world looking at different places with the Indian stuff. And I thought, God, Eric, this is something so many other searchers have already figured out. It could easily be another place in Yellowstone. It's like easily, if he just found some really memorable place when he was hunting Indian artifacts, he could say, I always want to come back here. It could be in any of the states, including New Mexico. So anyway, that was one thing. But I decided, the general theme I decided to check out was desert, and how Fenn had responded to searching for the treasure in the desert. So I'm going to start off with a Huffington Post, HuffPost.com. This is from 2011. It was updated in 2017. I'm not going to keep track of the dates. I'm going to tell you the dates. They're going to be all over the place. They're going to be from 2010 all the way up to, between 2010 up to now. So it's not going to be, and I'm doing that kind of for a purpose, because it just shows how you or I could be out reading blogs. We don't read these things naturally in chronological order, but they tell us something. These blogs. And so, Tober, stop it. You're really pissing me off, buddy. Come on, man. Okay, so we're going to be hitting all these different years, and you're going to hear Fenn describing the desert as it could pertain to the hunt. Like I said, not something I ever really thought about, never envisioned myself out in the desert. So when I started to read all of these quotes about the desert, I became rather interested. And then, of course, had my usual point of dismay. I shouldn't call it a point of dismay. Confusion. That's what happens all the time. I'm confused. I'm confused. We're all confused. Don't look at me and have pity on me. We're all confused. If you're on this treasure hunt, I mean, maybe if you've been doing it for a month or 6 months, you're like, I'm gonna find it tomorrow. Eventually, you will just be in a state of confusion. I should play that old ELO song. ELO song. Confusion. All right. So anyway. Have something here. It was originally a 2011 quote, was updated 2017. It was on HuffPost.com. It was by Margie Goldsmith. She had an article here. This is from HuffPost. And Fenn, worried the cancer would recur, said to himself. Forrest Fenn, worried that the cancer would recur. We all know what the cancer is, right? For those of you that don't, you got a lot of learning to do. Fenn, worried the cancer would recur, said to himself, quote, if it comes back, now this is 2011, right after he supposedly buried the treasure. He has said, well, 2009, 2010, I don't want to pin it down too much. It helps people look for things like rental car records and figure out if I rented a car and what year. Well, you know, you could do that for 2009, 2010. I'm not even sure what the point of that means, but adding the year doesn't really help. But he says, if it comes back, I'm going to grab a pocket full of sleeping pills, take a treasure chest filled with treasure, and a copy of my bio. And I'm going to walk out into the desert. Sometime they'll find my bones and the treasure, but my bio will be inside the box, so at least they'll know who I was. 2011, right after maybe a year or two after he buried it, and he immediately is talking about deserts. I thought that was very interesting. In fact, when I read this, I thought, well, hell, if he's saying desert in 2011, he's probably the most unguarded in what he says in the earliest interviews you can find after he buried it. And so, you know, desert it may be. Okay, flashback. Some people are going to get really excited. I'm having to do this because my printer almost ran out of ink, and so some of it's colored, and it's very the words are like, this is came out a really pale yellow. This was westward.com. This was August 11, 2016. Westward.com, 2016. A questioner questions Fenn. He says, would you recommend that searchers be accompanied by one or more person as opposed to going it alone? Fenn's response in 2016 is, the experts say that one should never hike in the mountains or the deserts alone. Folks, I don't know about you, but I mean, when the man, this is why I talk about this confusion, because he is like nonchalantly referring to the desert when he discusses his treasure. I'm going to walk out into the desert. They'll find my bones and the treasure, but my bio will be inside the box, so at least they'll know who I was. I mean, if you're someone like me, oops. Part 2 coming up.